Make certain your lesson is set on full screen. Also, you will need to press pause when an instruction is given. Today's prompt says, playing games with family can make special memories. Before you begin writing, think about a time you played a game with your family. Now write to tell a story about a time you played a game with your family. Now write to tell a story about a time you played a game with your family. Now write to tell a story about a time you played a game with your family. We read the last sentence 3 times because this is the most important sentence of the prompt. It not only tells you the type of writing you're doing, but also what you will be writing about. The last sentence does not say explain and does not say inform. It says write to tell a story. This lets you know you will be doing narrative writing. You will need a narrative plan. Under the Tools section of the Write Bright website, under Teacher Tools, you can find pre-printed narrative plans that you can run off. It's best to have a pre-printed plan for the first few lessons, and then students can begin to draw their own plan. If writing your own plan today, on your paper you'll put 1, skip a line, 2, 3, 4. Next to number 1, W for weather, W for where. Underneath, D for what you're doing, P for prompt, C for climax, E for ending, and then go under the number 4 and write another C, which stands for closer. You will also be learning what each of these letters stand for. Under assessments, you can find a study guide and a test for the narrative plan that students need to learn as you're working on the narrative lessons. The last sentence wants you to write a story about a time you played a game with your family. Let's take a look at some brainstorming ideas. You need to come up with what game you are going to play with your family. Hide and seek, football, bowling, Marco Polo, chutes and ladders, soccer, putt-putt golf, Twister, Family Feud, Double Dare, ring toss, go fish. It could be a board game. It could be an outside game. It can be a sport. It can be something you're playing in the pool. It can be maybe you're on a cruise ship and you're playing a game. Think about where you are and what game you and your family are going to play together. Maybe you're having some kind of a Easter egg hunt and you're making it into a game where whoever finds the golden egg wins $20, or just depending on your setting, but there's lots of different things that could be considered games. It's time to fill in your plan. Look next to number 1 and you see the word weather. This is how you're going to start your essay off, is by describing the day or the weather. However, you're not going to write it on your plan because there's no reason for you to write your weather sentence twice. So just leave the word weather there. Next to weather is where. Where are you at the very beginning of your story? I am on a cruise ship. Think about where you're going to be playing your game. Are you at home? Are you at the beach? Maybe if you're playing like beach volleyball. Are you in the woods if you're going to play manhunt? Are you at your house, your friend's house, a birthday party? Maybe some kind of a family gathering, like a family reunion at your grandmother's house. So maybe you're at your grandmother's house. Think about where you are at the beginning of your story and fill in your where now. Underneath whether and where is what you are doing at the very beginning of the story before you ever play the game. You do not talk about the prompt yet. In this paragraph, you're simply setting the scene. So look at where you are and tell me what you're doing there. I was on a cruise ship, so I'm eating dinner. If you're at the beach, maybe you're putting on sunscreen. If you're home, maybe you're cleaning the house or watching TV. Maybe you're eating lunch. Maybe you're having some kind of a birthday cake or celebration. What are you doing in that place where you just said you were at the beginning of the story? Fill in what you are doing now. Number 2 says prompt. This means you go back to the last sentence of the prompt and you see what it is asking you to write about. Now write to tell a story about a time you played a game with your family. So in paragraph 2, I want to know what game you played with your family. We had a treasure hunt on the cruise ship, so that's our game. What game are you going to play with your family? I'll leave the brainstorming ideas up for you. Fill in your 2 with the game you played now. 3 is your climax. This is the exciting part. Your family just played this game. Now, what is going to happen that's going to be exciting? We found the treasure in the life vest closet. So my family's going to win the treasure hunt.
You don't necessarily have to be a team with your family. You might be playing a game where you're playing against your family members. So what's the climax going to be? Are you going to win the game? Are you going to get some type of a prize? You need to come up with something exciting that's going to happen during this game or at the end of the game. So you might put that you won the game or you got a prize or tell what that prize was. Fill in your climax now. Number 4, end story. My family won a spa day, so I ended the story by saying we enjoyed the free spa day. How are you going to end your story? I need to know in this paragraph that the game is over. So did your family go out for ice cream? Did you hang up the ribbon you won in your room? Or did you play with the prize? If the prize was like candy, maybe you ate it. Maybe you went to feed the dog. I need to know that the game has come to an end. Think of an ending and fill in the ending for your story now. Now your closer. You use the last sentence of the prompt to complete your closer. For my closer, I always use "you just never know." Today, I'm going to allow you to also copy the "you just never know," and in the next lesson, you'll learn some different types of closers. The way you write a closer is you use the last sentence of the prompt to help you complete your closer. For example, if the last sentence of the prompt says, "Tell a story about a time you found something," you would write, "You just never know when you might find something." If the last sentence of the prompt says, "Tell a story about a time you were sad," you would write, "You just never know when you may be sad." If the last sentence of the prompt says, "Write a story about a time you went to the beach," you would say, "You just never know when you might go to the beach." The last sentence of this prompt says, "Now write to tell a story about a time you played a game with your family." I've written, "You just never know when you might play a game with your family." So understand how you use the last sentence of the prompt to complete your closer. Go ahead and write this as your closer on your plan now. Your plan is complete. It's time to start your essay. On your piece of notebook paper, you'll need to go to a fresh new line. You'll need to either draw an arrow or leave a space showing where you're going to indent your introduction. Then take a look at your plan. Look next to number 1. Number 1 represents the first paragraph you will be writing. Next to number 1, it says weather. You're going to start off your narrative essays by writing a descriptive sentence that describes the day or the weather. You might say, "It was a beautiful day outside as white fluffy clouds drifted through the bright blue sky." You might write, "It was a breezy day as the trees blew back and forth." On your paper, start with a capital, end with a period, and write a sentence describing the day or the weather now. Go back to your plan. Next to the weather, it says where. You want to begin your story by letting the reader know where you are. This allows them to start painting that setting in their head in which your story is going to happen. So it's important to tell them right away where you are. I would say, "I was with my family on a cruise." Look at where you've written you were. You need to write a sentence telling where you were in your story. Do not write, "I am at home." Narrative stories are written in the past tense. You are writing a story about something that has already happened. So you need to make certain all of your verbs are past tense verbs. So you need to write, "I was in the woods. I was at the beach. I was at home." For your second sentence, please write a sentence telling where you were now. You may now put your pencil down and listen to my essay. I'm going to start off by eating dinner. I go on a treasure hunt. My family finds the treasure in the Life Vest closet, and we win a spa day. Here's what I've written. The sun was slowly setting over the deep blue ocean. My family and I enjoyed a fabulous day on the cruise ship. I was excited when we walked into the dining room for dinner. After all, cruise ships are well known for their extraordinary food. The first course was fresh cocktail shrimps, sprinkled with a light sauce. Next, our server brought out juicy steaks served with roasted potatoes. For dessert, I chose a mouth-watering slice of chocolate cheesecake. When the meal was over, the cruise director made an announcement. He told us we were all invited to join a treasure hunt.
My sister and I had big smiles on our faces because this was a game we were both good at playing. Each family was given a clue to begin the hunt. My dad slowly opened our first clue. My mom, sister, and I jumped from our seats and followed Dad to the pool deck. We continued following the clues that led us to places like the theater, basketball court, arcade, and finally to the main ballroom. Families were rushing around trying to be the first to find the treasure. I opened the doors to the ballroom and was amazed at its beauty. Huge crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling. Beautiful plants and flowers were sprinkled throughout the room. It was so gorgeous my dad was nervous we might break something. We carefully looked around for another clue, but couldn't find one. Just as we were about to give up, my sister saw a tiny piece of paper stuck to the door of a closet. So we rushed to the door and grabbed the clue. It instructed us to open the closet. I gave the door a tug, and inside there were bright orange life vests. Sitting in the middle of the vest was a big present. We brought it out of the closet and opened it. Inside was a big card that said, "You have won the treasure hunt." We took the note back to the cruise director. He announced that the game was over and my family had won. Our treasure was a free day at the spa. The next morning, we woke up early and enjoyed a day filled with massages, body wraps, facials, and makeovers. And then the very last sentence you write is your conclusion closer. You just never know when you might play a game with your family. My essay is complete. Now it's your turn. Paragraph 1, you are not playing the game. The purpose of paragraph 1 is to set the scene. It's kind of like when you go to see a play and they have a scene painted on the back of the stage and behind the actors or actresses that sets the scene for you. That's what you're doing in your writing. In paragraph 1, you're setting the scene so the reader can see you, who you're with, where you are, and what it looks like. Let's just say you're sitting on the couch watching TV. It was a beautiful day and I was sitting on the couch watching TV. That does not put a picture in the reader's mind of where you are and what it looks like. It was a beautiful day and the sun was shining brightly in the sky. I was sitting in my house on my brown leather sofa, watching one of my favorite shows, SpongeBob SquarePants. I had a fresh bag of nacho cheese Doritos that I was eating in my lap. Crumbs were beginning to sprinkle all over the couch, and I knew I needed to jump up and get it clean before my mom walked in the room. That's how you set the scene. You need to give lots of details and a description of where you are, what you're doing, and what it looks like at the beginning of the story. Use your 5 senses. Try to say one thing you hear, one thing you smell, and several things that you see. Paragraph 2 and 3 is where you're playing the game. And then you're going to come up with an ending to your story. So right now on your paper, you have your weather on. Look at where you are and look at what you're doing. In this paragraph, set the scene. Who are you with? What does it look like? And what are you doing before you play the game? Do a fabulous job.